So we're outside waiting for my buddy. He has a 991.2 GT3 in manual. I've been waiting to review a manual one. I cannot wait to review this thing. He should be here any minute now. And I've been doing my research. There's a lot more differences than I actually thought between the two. So I'm looking forward to driving it. You should be here any minute. So welcome to the 991.2 GT3. I'm just gonna take my glasses off for this one. It's just, the first thing I noticed when starting it, the car revs so quick. It's crazy. I do like this. I feel like it's a smaller steering wheel on the 991.2 GT3 also. First things first, when I started this thing, it revs way quicker than I thought on the startup. It was like super fast startup. It was just different than my car. Probably nothing, but it was just different. A little bit about this car. 500 horsepower, 339 foot-pounds of torque. It is a 4-liter. My car's a 3.8. My car's doing 324 foot-pounds of torque at 475 horsepower. Now with this car, they changed a lot of intricacies with this car. From the way the front end looks, the slits in the bumper, the air dams in the bumper. They also changed the way the rear bumper is completely styled. The wing sits 20 millimeters higher and a little bit farther back on the trunk itself. Also, this car, very interesting. It has carbon fiber rear hinges for the trunk. Very, very interesting. That's like a 918 Weissau package thing, according to some of my research online. This engine though, is the crankshaft's bigger. The inside of the crankshaft is actually a lot hollower and it's lighter, and also not also on top of that, on top of it being lighter, my buddy's driving my GT3 right now right in front of me. It's so funny. On top of being lighter, the crankshaft, they used a smaller oil pump because it's now less friction. Instead of hydraulic lifters like it is in my car, it's actually solid lifters in this thing. So it's a totally different ball game when it comes to this car in particular. The rev match on the downshift, wow, this is nice. This is very nice for a manual transmission, how it just feels. This is how a manual should be. This 991.2 feels exactly like my GT3 RS felt. My 2011 GT3 RS. And the reason I'm comparing it is because everyone wants this shifter feeling, that notchy shifter feeling. This feels like a notchy shifter. This is exactly how it should feel. This is exactly how a shifter should feel. Porsche always hits it perfectly on the head when it comes to the shifter. Literally perfectly. And you know, they dial their cars in so right. I just can't even, I haven't even done anything to the car. Just shifted, went literally 3 blocks, turned the camera on. But just the shifting, the feel of the shifter just feels so good. Okay, so we'll open this exhaust up a little bit. Immediately I noticed the torque. I know it's not much torque difference, but that 4-liter, there's no replacement for displacement. You could feel it. This car also is not stock. According to my buddy, it does have headers on it and a center muffler. So yes, that little bit of more torquey feeling is going to come from those mods, but you could kind of sense where that torque was lacking in that previous gen, and it kind of like they perfectly tailored it in there, so to speak, like a Porsche finesse does. How Porsche finesses it and does it. Oh my gosh, the fucking downshifts are so perfect. It's crazy. And this thing has no lift shift. I can't believe this thing has no lift shift. Like, PDK shifts faster. It doesn't shift much faster than this. No lift shift. Yeah, you get it on the downshift, sure, but the upshifts, no way. No way. The PDK is probably a couple milliseconds faster than this thing on upshifts. This is brutal. That upshift was insane. It felt like my PDK car. What the hell? No lift shift? Oh my gosh, I didn't even know this thing had no lift shift until my buddy told me when I got in. My mind's blown. Also, with the manual, they kind of fixed a couple little things too. They fixed, supposedly, my generation has, the PDK has a lot of these like pumps and hydraulic pump system stuff that's going on. And the rear differential in my car is, I don't know if it's hydraulic or electronic or what they got going on. But according to some of my research from guys that are saying the rear differential in this car is a mechanical rear diff, not necessarily like an electronic one where things are being all controlled in funky ways and it's chattery. There's no really chatter in this thing. All right, we gotta hit this no lift shift one more time. This is just insane. Oh my gosh. The no lift shift is crazy. My mind is blown. And you can no lift shift, not just like going all the way up to red line. I just no lift shifted there, and we're going at 4,000 RPM. Oh my gosh! And you could hear it in the video between shifts how quick this thing actually gets shifting. It is not a slouch by any means whatsoever, and you could feel that mid-range too, in my opinion, from that 4,000 to 6,000. Yes, it has headers. I wish it was completely stock, but you know, shout out to my buddy. I'm thankful for him for loaning me the car to use for this review, because to be honest, there's not many people that even have this car. This just feels totally different. The smaller steering wheel feels so good. This is how a car should feel. This is how a gearbox should feel. This is if I was to build a car today and they said, we were making a manual transmission and we're trying to put it in something, take this exact gearbox feel and put it in that. I didn't think I would ever drive another Porsche, especially a newer Porsche, that was actually going to have the same feel as my 997 GT3. 997.2 GT3 RS did. I didn't think that gearbox was going to be mimic-able, if that's even a word. But it clearly is. The shifts, the throws on the shift are perfect too. You can feel that 4 liters torque in that mid-range though. Like right in that 3,000 to 5,000, you can feel it, and you can even feel it up to 6,000. But you can feel it, and you feel it in like normal driving. The auto response feels different too. Feels a lot more crisp. The auto response definitely feels a lot more crisp than my car does. Granted, my car's PDK, so there's this lag a little bit. You know, it's kind of slipping the clutch and doing what it does for you. But this is definitely the car. Now, my other buddy was telling me, he's like, oh, once you drive one of these, you're gonna want one. Damn. This is the problem when you drive cool cars. You get cursed by them because you do want them after you drive them. That's how good these cars are. Oh, Sergey, why did you let me drive this? Oh my gosh. And the inside of this thing is literally just like mine. He's got comfort seats, no cage obviously, but he's got the carbon here on the dash, which is really nice. This is the newer infotainment system, so it has the Apple CarPlay, the newer design steering wheel. Also, what's different on this car is the undercarriage of the car. They changed the way the aero is set up on this car also, so the undercarriage is actually different when it comes to the aero. The front bumper and the slits in the bumper are different. You'll see that in the little walk around video. So a lot of things are different about this car. The rear diffuser is different. The way the wing sits, like I mentioned earlier, obviously it's a 4-liter, not a 3.8. A little more torque, a little more horsepower. But, you know, with Porsche, they like refine things. You know, when people, I said it in a video before too. When people said, oh, Porsche, there is no substitute, I would laugh. Like, bro, I've driven so many other things. You know, what do you mean there is no substitute? It's has a different sound to it too. It has like this rasp that's hard to describe. No lift shift right here. That was all the way to 9,000. You could hear the mechanical engine just, it develops like right at 7,500. It develops like a different tone in the car. Like it like bumps up, like I know the RPMs are going up, but it just like changes. Like the engine becomes like a animal of its own. I can't even explain it. Best gearbox I've ever felt. I'm gonna say it's the same, but it's not the same. I think it's better than my GT3 RS. Hands down, this gearbox is so good. Oh. Oh, it's just so good, it's crazy. And this is the Porsche that we all love. This is what car manufacturers today are lacking. This is the problem with car manufacturers. They're spending too much time on trying the aesthetics of the car that don't have any function. They're spending too much time on the aspect of the car that doesn't necessarily have any merit to what the owner is going to use the car for, or why they're even purchasing the car in the first place. It's just not something that somebody is going to buy. Like, for example, why change styling on certain cars like the M3 I just reviewed, you know? It's like, you know, that platform that you guys were working with was the most amazing platform you had. Now you could refine it with certain things, you know? Put in power where it needs power, take away torque where it doesn't need torque, you know, refine suspension. Sometimes you have the blueprint in front of you. There's no reason to change the entire blueprint. That is the problem with manufacturers. Porsche has the best blueprint I've ever seen when it comes to car manufacture. It's ironically, it's fucking crazy. They take a car that's all ready to go and they just make it better, make it better. It's like what Tom Brady does when he plays football. Listen, he's not trying to go leaps and bounds next year. He's just trying to go 1% better next year, 1% better this year, 1% better, 1% better, 1%. And these 1% over 5, 10, 15 year increments, they end up making a huge difference. You know, the missile pointed at 2 millimeters difference here, it's not going to show much, but in 10 years from now, that 2 millimeter trajectory is going to be completely different. It's going to be a completely different animal. It's going to be completely different in every way, shape, and form. Oh, backup camera's nice. My car does not have it. Okay, so now that we're parked and we're stable, let's do a little walk around video of this thing. Okay, first things first. Guards red. The carbon ceramic brakes, of course. This is a preference. Carbon ceramic brakes, expensive to replace. A lot of guys use steel brakes when they want to track, but if you're just treating the car, I think they're perfect. Heck, I'd even track them here and there. They're not going to wear out as fast as people think. Guys like steel brakes. Replaceable cost is cheaper. It's cheaper for one, tremendously cheaper, and two, some people like the brake pedal feel of the steels on the track. So now, the wing sits a little farther back, 20 millimeters taller. The rear bumper is totally different. The way the rear bumper is designed, the way the taillights are designed now, they're totally different too. He wrapped this so it kind of looks like it has a bigger rear diffuser, but this is supposed to be painted. GMG exhaust or center section with headers. Tried to get a stock one for you guys, couldn't. The intakes here, I love these intakes. God, I wish my car had that sometimes, because it just looks so aggressive and badass. And the way that air flows over the car and the way those intakes, the way it sucks in air back there, it's just crazy. So now, this blade here, the bigger ducts here up front, and then also the way the undercarriage is designed on this car is different. The headlights are different as well. So it's not, the manual especially, not just PDK, the manual especially, it's not just a car that's different just here and there aesthetic wise. It has a 4-liter. It's not different in that sense. It's different in a lot of senses, from the rear differential to the engine to the power to the way it puts down the power to the way the suspension feels. According to the manufacturer, this is actually a little bit stiffer suspension, a little bit more rigid. I love that steering wheel though. So inside is very similar to mine. Now, we'll get inside. He's got all the sick, amazing carbon pieces. Matching guards red key. Super low miles too. The nice Apple CarPlay system, which is super nice. I like this a lot. This new system is very smooth, very clean. All carbon here. See, this is that beautiful extended leather that I'm talking about that Porsche loves to do. You know, it's not that there's no plastic here, there's no cheap design, there's no cheap materials being used in any of their products. Even the center console here, it's carbon. Yes, you got this little plastic piece, but this plastic doesn't feel cheap. And then you have this leather that's wrapped in the center console that just makes everything flow and just feel. This is all leather. This isn't fake, this isn't plastic, this isn't pleather or hardened. Cool fire extinguisher there. So all in all, this is probably next on the list for me. You know, let's see how my car treats me, but to be honest right now, I'm not looking at any other cars. I just love my car the way it is. But this transmission, oh my gosh, you just cannot beat this transmission. It's truly unbelievable. Starts up so fast. Just did a little walk around video. I don't want to give it back to Sergey. I'm gonna ask him if I can hold on to the car for another 5-6 hours or something. It's Porsche's so smart. I had the brake on the second I put it in gear and let the clutch out, the brake automatically disengages. What are you guys doing, Porsche? Cars are becoming too good. That's the one thing I like about the manual. The PDK has a lot of chatter, I noticed. The PDK definitely has a lot of chatter in this thing. Clunk, 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 which is normal. That thing's trying to disengage, engage, and do all this stuff electronically. All right, let's feel this thing in a corner real quick. Nothing fast, nothing crazy, because we don't have time and we can't really go to any crazy road. So let's feel it. Totally different than my car. I feel like it's more nimble. Like even the turning radius, I actually noticed in this car when I was doing a turn in it earlier. I even noticed the turning radius was like way different, way more like narrow, like way more like they definitely changed something with the steering. It's so sick, it's crazy. Well, Sergey, thank you so much for letting me review this thing. I don't even need to question it or make it a question. Like, would I buy it? Yeah, I have one. Would I buy this one? Yeah, 100%. If I could have like every little variation, I understand now why guys have little variations of these cars. They have little variation here, little variation there. They change up the way that their car is. They change up their lineup, you know, by a little generation here, because these little tweaks, these 6-7 little tweaks that they put out with the models, these tweaks change the whole game for these cars. So, oh, this thing, let's see what it feels like. The turning on this thing is just, it's good. It's really good. Let's give it one last rip before we gotta go back. All right, we're good now. We are good. Exhaust quiet, sport mode off. No comms. Go back to parking, and we should be good. This is definitely This is definitely, and it's crazy how different the PDK behaves versus this car in manual. This car in manual is just so much better. Like, I'm not even gonna, like, this car, the PDK is great for tracking. The PDK is definitely great for, like, daily driving, being in traffic or whatnot. But let's be real, if you have this car, you're not probably driving in much traffic every single day. I mean, you could definitely daily it though if you don't mind driving a manual. But the PDK makes a lot of clunkiness and chatter noises, and that's just the PDK thing. This thing in manual is just smooth all throughout the driving experience. I know it's just smooth. There's no clunkiness and weirdness to the car, and I think they really perfected it with the .2. I always thought, is there much of a difference from the 4-liter to the 3.8? There's a big difference. It's actually very big difference. I noticed it completely. I was just in my car driving. I got in this thing, night and day difference. And buy one if you can. So thanks for watching, and see you guys later.